Okay, in the last class about research methodology, we were discussing about the various methods of research, and we discussed specifically about historical research methods, right? So moving on from that, today we are going to discuss about descriptive research methods. So let's see what descriptive research is and what are the various research design adopted in descriptive research methods. Okay. So you see, one of the main components of research is getting information about the problem. That is true, right? We need to get information about the problem that we are studying. So the the question is the what, how, when, and where answers. So these kind of these kind of questions we are seeking answers to, right? So this is why descriptive research is an important type of research, because it is useful when conducting research whose aim is to only to identify characteristics, frequencies, trends, correlations, and categories. So as we discussed before in the types of research, it what do you say, it gives little to no relevant information and gives a befitting description. It just describes the phenomena. It does describes the phenomena or portrays the characteristics of an individual or what you say, or an organization under study. Okay, so that it involves both quantitative as well as qualitative research methods. So in the forthcoming sections, we will be explaining what descriptive research means and what are its types, examples, and the data collection process. Okay. So descriptive research is a type of research that describes, okay, it just describes a population, a situation, or a phenomenon that is being studied. It just describes it, right? It focuses on answering how, what, when, and where questions if a research problem, rather than studying it. It just focuses on answering these questions when studying the problem in detail, right? Studying rather than the why. Only how, what, where, and when instead of answering why. Okay. This is mainly because it is essential to have a proper understanding of what the research problem is about before we investigating why it is exist in the first place. First, we need to understand what the research problem. Then only we can find a solution why this is happening, right? So before knowing there is a problem and what is the problem, we cannot identify the solution. So to identify what is the problem, to know more about the problem, descriptive research comes into play. For example, consider this, okay? An investor considering an investment in the ever-changing Amsterdam housing market needs to understand what is the current state of market, how it is changes, right? And when it is changes, before asking why. This is where descriptive research comes in. See, in this example, an investor, Amsterdam is a city in Netherlands. Okay, an investor is planning to do an investment in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Amsterdam is a place in Netherlands, and how Amsterdam's housing market. So before he is going to invest in that Amsterdam housing market, he need to understand how the housing market in Amsterdam actually works. What is the current status actually? Okay, what is the current status? That is a what question. And how it changes, whether it is increasing or decreasing, that is a how question. And when it is changes and which time of the year, that is when question, before asking why. So when you ask these four questions, what, how, when, you will understand the problem under study before going into why it changes. Okay, this is called descriptive research. So what are the types of descriptive research? It can be classified into different types according to the approaches that is conducted, right? Approaches. So first one is descriptive survey. So descriptive survey uses survey to gather data about various subjects. So it uses survey in the sense that the data aims to know to what extent, to which conditions, different conditions can be obtained among these subjects. Okay, so the aim of the data is to understand the extent to which different conditions can be obtained. So let's see this with an example. For an example, you take this example. A researcher wants to determine the qualification of employed professionals in Maryland. So there are certain professionals who are working in various companies. Maryland is a place, okay. So he wants to know the qualification of employed professionals. That means people who are working in various companies in Maryland. That researcher wants to know the qualification. Okay. So he uses a survey as his research instrument. So survey here is a research instrument. Let it be questionnaire or observation or whatever it may be, or interview. So survey is a research instrument. And each item on the survey is related to qualification is subjected to a yes or no answer. Okay. So he is using a, what do you say, questionnaire, right? A survey kind of instrument, or let it be a question. He designed a question related to qualification, because his aim is to determine the qualification of employed professionals in the Maryland. Okay. So he employs survey as his research instrument and asks questions related to qualification based on yes or no. So whether you are UG or PG, whether are you a PG, yes or no. Have you completed graduation, yes or no. Have you completed PhD, yes or no. That kind of questions he is asking to determine the qualification of employed persons in Maryland. Okay. So this way, after getting the information, the researcher can describe the qualification possessed by the employed demographics of this community. See. So once he gets the answer based on this research survey, he can determine, oh, these are the qualifications that the employed professionals are having in Maryland community. I hope this is the description. Okay, this is the description of the qualification processed by the community. So this kind of method type is called as descriptive survey. Okay, there is an extension of this survey actually, with the addition being the normative element. Okay, in descriptive normat survey, that element is called as normative element. So we term it as descriptive normat survey. So you see this, there is a norm, and the normative element, a norm is added, a norm, and the results are compared with this norm. So we will see this with an example. Okay. For example, an organization that wishes to test the skills of its employees by a team may have them to take a skill test. Okay, a company, let it be any company, they wanted to test the skills. Okay, the skills of an employee. Okay, by a team, skills of its employees. Okay, so what they do, they make the employees to take a skill test. Okay, the skill test are the evaluation tool. In the previous study, what do you say? In the previous example, we saw survey as the research tool, research instrument, or survey as a research instrument, or a questionnaire as the tool. Okay, here you see the skill test, because here the aim is to determine the skills of the employee. So here the skill test are the evaluation tool, and the result of this compared with the norm of each role. So for example, if you want to become a librarian, MLISC is the norm. Okay. So whether you are having knowledge for the librarian, whether you are having the skills for the librarian. Okay. Okay, whether you are having the skills for the librarian, that is what I am going to do using a skills test. So you are having skills for the librarian, the norm is MLISC degree. So I am comparing the result of the skills along with the norm. So this is called as descriptive normative survey. So if the score of each item is one standard deviation above the mean, it is very satisfactory. If it is within the mean, satisfactory, and one standard deviation below the mean, it is unsatisfactory. So you all know what is mean, standard deviation, right? So mean is the average, right? Mean is the average. So while coming to what is a statistics, I will tell this with specific examples. What is mean and what is standard deviation? Okay. What is mean and standard deviation, and what is one standard deviation, two standard deviation, and so on. Okay. So this is we are adding a norm to the survey. That is called as descriptive normative survey. Okay. Next is status, descriptive status. This is a quantitative description that seeks to answer questions about real life situation. This is a status, this is a quantitative. That means that can be expressed in terms of number. You remember quantitative and qualitative. Quantity is that can be expressed, any value can be expressed in terms of number. Remember average, okay, that can be expressed in terms of number, your marks or something like that. So for example, we will see this with an example. A researcher researching the income of the employees in a company and the relationship with their performance. You see, income is compared with the relationship. So income is compared with the relationship, right? Income is a salary. Salary is a number, right? So a survey will be carried out to gather enough data about the income. So a survey is asking the employees of an organization of a company about their salary. Okay. So one will be earning 10,000, one will be earning 20,000. So there will be different kinds of incomes for different professionals according to their designations, right? So he is collecting the data. So then after collecting the data, then their performance will be evaluated and compared to their income. So then their performance. So let's say we will take it as an university itself, right, or a college itself. So college will have head of the institution, that may be principal or headmaster, whoever it is, and then there will be HODs, lecturers, and non-teaching staff. So they will have different kinds of salaries according to their level, and collecting the details of the salary. What the institution does is, if principal or the role of there is a role for the principal and there is a role for the teacher, role for the librarian. So if the librarian is collecting certain salary, means he is performing his job or not. So the performance is evaluated. The performance is evaluated, and after evaluating the performance, they are comparing the income with the performance. Okay, they are comparing the income with the performance. So this will help to determine whether what this comparison actually brings out. That will help whether higher income means better performance, and lower income means lower performance, or vice versa, to understand the characteristics, how salary or income plays a vital role in performance. Okay, so descriptive status is remember, this is a quantitative representation about real life situation. So quantitative in the sense, this can be represented in terms of number. Okay. So next we are coming to the next type is analysis, descriptive analysis. It is a method that describes the subject by further analyzing, which is in this case involves by dividing into two parts. So there is a subject, it plans to analyze it further by dividing into two parts. So let's see this with an example. HR is human resource, right? HR personnel of a company that wishes to analyze the job role of each employee of the company. Okay, so there is a company and the HR personnel is wanting to analyze the role of the job role of each employee of the company. So in a university there are different kinds of employees, right? Deans, HODs, teachers. So what the HR is doing, they want to analyze the job role of deans, HODs, and faculties by dividing the employees into people that work at the headquarters and that work from the Oslo, Norway office, right? So there are that company is having two branches. Let's say that company is having two branches. One is at the US. The US is the main office. Okay, that is the headquarters. And one branch is at Oslo. That is in Norway, right? So the company is same only, but it is having two branches, headquarters. So the role is same. The role is same. Okay, the role of each employee is in both the companies may be same. So he is comparing he is analyzing the job role of each employee by dividing the places, by dividing the employees based on the location parameters. Okay, so both the companies are same only. Okay, but one is a branch and one is a main office, simple as that. Okay, one is a branch, like SBI, we can take SBI bank head office in Mumbai, right? And there are branches all over the country, right? So like that is, for example, you wanted to analyze the job role of SBI employee in Mumbai headquarters office and SBI employee in Chennai. Okay, like that he is doing it. So here you see the two parts. One is in Mumbai, one is in Chennai. The company is the same, the employee is the same, employee role and everything is the same, but the division is based on the location parameter. Okay. A questionnaire is designed to analyze the job role of each employee with similar salaries and work in similar position. See, in Mumbai also there will be a branch manager, right? There will be a branch manager in the bank and accountant and everything. In Chennai also there will be a branch manager, but he is analyzing the role descriptions. But in Chennai, the role may be little bit different when compared to Mumbai. Though the ultimate role will be similar, but there will be certain variations. So in order to identify the variations, we need to do an analysis based on these location parameters. I hope you understood this analysis part. So your there is a phenomenon, you are analyzing deeper by dividing into two portions. Okay, whereas the status is, it is represented in terms of quantitative, based on real life problems. Simple. So now we are coming to classification. Next type is classification. This method is usually employed in biological sciences for the classification of plants and animals. For example, a researcher who wish to classify the sea animals into different species. There are lots of sea organisms. In underwater, there are lots of sea organisms, and he wants to classify them. Okay, and he will collect samples from various search stations and classify them accordingly. Like he will collect samples from various search stations with respect to sea. Okay, with respect to harbors and sea, right? And he will classify them. He will collect species. He will collect different species about crabs, sharks, whatever fishes are there, and whatever other organisms which is living in the seas. Right? Not only fish. There are many other organisms which are living in the sea. So accordingly, he wants to determine what are the organisms living in the sea, and he wants to classify them according to their species of origin. Okay. In Earth, we human beings alone are not living. Plants live. Plants are there. Animals are there. Birds are there. Right. So he is classifying. So based on the living organisms, similarly based on the living organisms of sea, based on the plants and animals which is plants and animals which is living in the sea, he wants to classify them accordingly. So if you take a human being, if you take a man or a woman, he will classify into human being. If you take a dog, he will classify into animal, right? Like that, he wants to classify it according to their species. Okay, this kind of research is called method is called descriptive classification. Next is comparative. Okay, now what is descriptive comparative? In this kind of research, the researcher's comparison means there should be more than one, right? Then only you can compare. I am comparing the marks of Abhilash with Ritesh. Then there is two persons, right? So Abhilash is there, Ritesh is there. The comparison, when you hear the word comparison, there will be more than one. You remember that. So the researcher considers two variables which are not manipulated. Manipulated means which are not changed. Okay, which are not changed. Okay, that means manipulated, right? Not manipulated, and establish a formal procedure to conclude that one is better than other. So he is comparing two people under the same condition which is not manipulated, and to find out a formal procedure to conclude that which one is better than the other, right? So for an example, we will see this as an example so you can understand it. An examination body and examination wing. Let's say, let's take our our controller of examination or our examination section. Okay, wants to determine the best method for conducting test between paper-based and computer-based test. Okay, you see. So you see, online test, they want to compare which is the best method, online test or written paper based test. They want to compare that. Okay, see here the variables are not manipulated. So paper based, you are going to sit in a classroom and write it. Whereas in the case of computer based, you are just going to write it, but in front of a computer. Instead of writing, you are going to select the options, right? So you see a random sample of participants of the test may be asked to use the two different methods, and the factors like failure rates, time factors, other factors will be evaluated to arrive at the best method. So you see a same set of people. I am asking you, all the 6 students, to write both paper based and also computer based. See, the variables are not manipulated, but I am giving you two different kinds of methods to determine which method is best. Okay, so based on the factors like failure rate, in paper based some might find it easy to write, in computer based some might find it easy to write. So depending upon the individual. So based on the overall score like failure rates, time factors, in paper based you might complete within time, in computer without knowing you might not be able to complete, time will be running. So another factor, the examination wing will determine which is the best method. So here the population is same, the variables are different. Okay, so there is no manipulation. So this kind of comparison is called a method is called as descriptive comparative analysis, right? Next is correlative. Correlative also, it should involve more than one. Then only you can establish a relation between two variables. It is used to determine whether the relationship between two variables is positive, negative, or neutral. Okay. So there are two variables, say x and y are directly proportional, inversely proportional, or not proportional. We saw one example, right? How income of the employees, in one example we saw how income of the employees affects the performance. So income is a variable, performance is another variable. If high income means, based on the results, if high income leads to high performance, means the income and performance are correlated. That means it is positive. If high income, no work, no performance, means the income and this is negatively correlated. Okay, I hope you understood this. So these are the different types of descriptive research methods. So I'm going to show you a specific examples, certain examples using these different types. Okay. So first is comparing student performance. So this is kind of a descriptive comparative. Okay. See, an academic institution, let it be any college or university, whatever it may be, wish to compare the performance of its junior high school students in English language and mathematics. Okay, I told this example before itself, right, in the last class itself. So again I am telling this for better understanding. So they can classify these two groups. One going based on this, based on this two groups. So they wanted to test the students' proficiency in English and mathematics. So based on this, if one scores good marks in English and less marks in mathematics, one scores good marks in mathematics and less marks in mathematics, they can choose their career. That will help to choose their career. If he is good in mathematics, he can try for science-based courses. If he is very good in English, he can try for literature and arts-based courses. So this will help them to determine. So based on the skills, ability, the comparative test, it will help to determine which the student will more suited to, right? So second is scientific classification. This is descriptive classification. So during major classification of plants, major scientific classification of plants, animals, and periodic table elements, the characteristics and components of each subject are evaluated and used to determine how they are classified. For example, we male and female, we are used to classify as living beings and human beings, right? Living things and human beings. So what is the characteristics and how we come under living beings and human beings? So this kind of determination is obtained. For example, living things may be classified into kingdom plant A, kingdom animal, depending upon their nature. If it is a tree, means this is plant A, right? If it is a tiger, means it is animal. Depending upon their nature, they are classified. Further, they may group animals. Further, see, animals is subdivided into mammals, species, vertebrae, invertebrate, etc. Okay, there are different, right? Amphibians, mammals, and all. So further, animals are further classified. Similarly, humans are further classified into male and female. Okay. So all these classifications are made of a descriptive research only, right? That detailedly describes what they are. Okay. So human behavior. One more example I want to give you, that is human behavior. So when studying a human behavior based on a factor or an event, the researcher observes the characteristics of the behavior and the reaction, then use it to conclude. Okay, they will study the characteristic of the behavior on a particular situation. So for example, let's say in a cricket match, what happens when the team loses? What will be the behavior of the captain, or what will be the behavior of the coach? So that kind of characteristic they want to determine. See, in this example, a company willing to sell its target market needs to first study the behavior of the market. That is true actually. If a company wants to sell something, a company which is, let's say, which is based in Mumbai or something, he wants to sell the same product in Chennai, means he needs to first study the behavior, how Chennai people are using this product, whether they could reach out the product. Then only he can be able to invest and get proper benefit out of it. If the behavior of the market, if the study behavior of the market is not done, you will not get effective output. So this may be done by observing how the target it reacts to a competitor's product, right? The same product may be, so for example, let's say there is no Uber in Bathinda, right? There is no Uber or something in Bathinda. So how the taxis are going? That is how the taxis are going in Bathinda. So if the Uber company wants to implement Uber taxis in Bathinda, they must understand whether Bathinda people are taking taxis or not, right? So based on other company taxis or other private taxis, if people are going more using taxis, then Uber will work out there, or else it won't work out there. Simple. They are studying the behavior of the marketplace, right? Okay. So these are the different characteristics of descriptive research. I told you quantitative, it involves both quantitative and qualitative, right? So quantitative is by collecting quantifiable. What is quantifiable? That can be measured, okay? Used to for statistical analysis of the population sample. And qualitativeness, it can also be carried out using the qualitative research method to properly describe the research problem. And then uncontrolled variables, we will see what are variables when coming to that those part. In descriptive research, researcher cannot control the variables like they do in experimental research. It should occur in a natural setting, and they are the basis for further research. We saw what, how, when, then only. While answering what, how, when only, then we can determine why this is happening. Without knowing what, how and when, we cannot answer why, right? So that forms the basis for further research. So see, these are the advantages. These are the different advantages of descriptive research. So data collection. A researcher can conduct descriptive research using specific methods like observation, case study, survey method. Okay. Between all these three primary data collection methods are covered, which provides lots of information, right? This can be used for future research or even developing a hypothesis of your research objects. And varied. Varied means diverse, different. Since the data collected is qualitative and quantitative, so both the data, qualitative is also collected and quantitative is also collected, it gives a holistic understanding of a research topic, right? So information is very diverse and thorough information. You will get diverse, different kinds of information, and varied. It is diversified across disciplines and across genders of phenomena, and it is thorough. Natural environment. So the researcher have no control over the variables, right? So it happens in a natural setting. That is a respondent's environment, which ensures high quality and honest data. That is true. Quick to perform and cheap also. As the sample size is large, the data collection is very quick to conduct. It is inexpensive. So these are the various advantages. So there are certain disadvantages also. So what are they? Response and non-response bias. Okay, what do you mean by that? Response may either decide not to respond to questions or give incorrect responses if they feel questions are too confidential. So sometimes responses in questionnaire method, sometimes responses may decide not to give correct answers, or not to even respond. They won't even provide answer for that. They just leave it blank or something like that, and they won't even respond the questionnaire. There are certain cases like that. And sometimes they will give incorrect answer. That is means if you are asking too much personal information, they won't share it. That means they will give wrong answers. That is incorrect. If those kind of things are happening, that is called as response and non-responsive bias. Okay. When researchers use observational methods, response also decide to behave in a particular manner because they feel they are being watched. When are using observation means, for example, if a librarian wants to observe how the freshers are using the library, so the new students should not know the librarian is there. Okay, then only you can observe them in the natural setting. If the students knows that the teacher is there, they will behave in good manners. Then the research is biased. Okay, then you will not get proper behavior of the first year students. Okay, so the research may decide to influence the result of a research due to personal opinion or bias. If there is a bias or a personal opinion, the results vary. Example, a stockbroker who also a business of his own may try to lure investors into investing into our company by manipulating events. Right? A stockbroker. See, a stockbroker, he is a stockbroker, but he is also having a separate company. So what he will do is he will tell the investors to invest in his company. to raise the stock. So that is a manipulation, right? So a case study or a sample taken from large population is not representative of a whole population. Just because you are taking large population doesn't mean that that is whole population, right? That is true. In case of, let's say, in Central University of Punjab, there are different departments. So there are 20 departments, for example, I am saying, but you are taking from 13 departments. That doesn't mean you are representing the whole population. But the population is large. 13 is large out of 20, but it is not whole. Limited scope. The scope of research is limited to what the research is actually, not why. With no information on why, thereby limiting the scope of research. Only you are describing the phenomena and you are not answering the question why this is happening. Okay, the scope is restricted. So these are the various disadvantages of what you call descriptive research. So there are different data collection methods in different descriptive research, and we will see that also. One is observational. You know what is observation, right? Being watched. You are watching something or you are observing something. So it allows researchers to collect data based on their view of the behavior and characteristics of the respondent. As I told earlier, so librarian wants to observe how first year students are using the library. So they just the first year students are asked to come to the library, and the librarian is just sitting as a user and observing it. So how they are behaving without knowing any knowledge about HOPAC and how they are searching book. So that is what you want to observe, right? So this is non-participant because librarian is sitting somewhere else and he is just observing. So if he is along with the student, he is bringing the students, he is also became participating in that group, means that is participant observation. There are two kinds of observation, that is participant and non-participant observational methods. So quantitative observation involved with the objective of collecting numerical data whose results can be analyzed using numerical and statistical methods. For example, you want to observe how many students coming to the library. How many students coming to the library, how many faculty coming to the library. You are sitting in the library for the whole day and you are counting the numbers. That is quantitative kind of observation, right? Qualitative, monitoring the characteristics, as I said earlier. You are just monitoring what they are doing, how they are behaving. Okay, that kind of observation is called as qualitative. So case study, you know what is a case study? Is you are taking a particular topic or about a particular institution or a particular individual or something, and you are doing an in-depth study, okay, whose characteristics are used to describe the characteristics of a large group, in which the case study is a subgroup, okay. So the information gathered from investigating a case may be generalized to serve, not always, may be generalized to serve the larger group. This generalization, however, risky, that's what I told, because case study are not sufficient to make accurate predictions about larger group. Okay. So for example, you want to study the library use pattern of Central University of Punjab Library. So the case here is Central University of Punjab Library is a single organization. So you are just studying the use pattern of students in that particular university only, particular library only. So you are doing an in-depth study. So based on the result, you cannot conclude all the universities will be having the same approach. All the students of other universities will having the same approach. Sometimes it's risky. In certain cases, you can generalize. But in certain cases, there are risks in environment. Cases, you are taking a particular topic or a particular phenomenon, you are analyzing in depth. That is a case study. Survey, as I discussed about, you know what is survey, right? In simple normal terms, census. So census record is a kind of survey. This is a popular data collection. This is very popular, seriously. Researchers create a survey or questionnaire and distribute it to the responses. Survey, let it be survey method in data collection and survey method includes questionnaire, interview, schedules. So these are different kinds of survey methods. Online surveys. Generally, it is used to obtain quick information directly from the primary source and also conducting rigorous quantitative and qualitative research. In some cases, survey research blends both quantitative and qualitative strategy. So after the webinar, whenever you attend a webinar, they are asking for feedback form, right? That is one kind of survey. Okay. So online surveys can be carried out both online and as well as offline using the methods, right? One is online, that is a cheap method like Google Forms or other SurveyMonkey or whatever other tools available. You can create a survey using online. You can just share it via social media platforms. FormPlus is it is a company. It is having some amazing tools which will improve online surveys. Offline surveys is printed. You are typing the questions in a paper and you are taking printout and you are giving them in hand, giving the person in hand and asking them to fill out. So that is printed, right? So we are coming to the end part of this topic. See, the uniqueness of descriptive research. What is the unique thing about this research is it lies in ability that to explore both quantitative and qualitative research methods. That is the uniqueness of this research method. Therefore, when conducting this descriptive research, the researchers have the opportunity to use a wide variety of techniques that aids the research process. They're using wide variety. That is true actually. Wide variety. You are using survey method, case study method, right? Observation method, what variety of techniques and different kinds of tools, interviews, questionnaires, participant, non-participant observation, schedules. See how many variety of tools and methods you are employing for this particular research design, right? It explores the research problems in depth and beyond the surface and thereby giving a detailed description. So while you are describing what the problem is about, you are giving the detailed description about the problem, which forms the basis for further research, why this problem needs to be explored. So it is also useful in solving some real life problems in various fields of social science, physical science and education. So this is all about descriptive research. Kindly go through this references which was used to prepare this particular presentation. So thank you.